All right, all right. I hope if your day was not bright, I hope the music has brought some smile into your face. But how are you doing? How is everybody? For some reason I can't share and see my chat. So every time I do that, I don't see what you guys are talking about, but I can see you're active here. Hi, everybody, from Ghana, from Kenya, from everywhere, Cameroon, Ethiopia. Um, so lovely to have you with us here. My name is Pauline. If you've been here from day one of onboarding, you've probably seen my face a few times or maybe enough times. But today we are excited to have a different temple. We'll not be talking about the content, the program, or any of those things. It's a different kind of session. We have an expert session, someone talking to us about the executive world. What does it take to be a VA? And I'm not hosting alone this session. I am hosting with Kennedy. Um, so, Kennedy, do you want to say hi?
Hi guys, how are you doing? Clearly, if you cannot tell already, we really love spending time with you. We just can't have enough of you guys, so we keep showing up here every single time. We hope you feel the same. Excited for today's session, and yeah, let's get into it.
Yes, please keep the energy going. We love the energy in the chat. We also have a Q&A section. If you have a hold of the Slido as well, we have that. You can ask your questions, but we will be answering questions purely about the session. So please keep the same energy, be interactive, raise your hand where you can. If we ask you to speak up, please raise your hand. Let us know you want to engage with us and with our guest. And yeah, let's keep it alive. So, what's on our agenda? First thing is we are gonna see how we engage. I've already hinted in some of the things that we like to do here. Then we'll have a quick check-in icebreaker activity. We will then dive right into the fireside chat with our guest speaker. Some of you have already started engaging with her in the social media, and I am giving you guys snaps. Well done. Keep the same excitement about that conversation. And then we'll have a Q&A session where you get to ask your questions. You've been keeping these questions since we told you about this session. Keep them ready. Ask anything you want to know about the executive or virtual assistant world. She's the right person to answer you. And if she can't, probably someone within the team might have an answer. Or we can Google together, right? And then lastly, we will close with an announcement, some feedback from you, and we will close for the day. So, how do we engage? First things first, while we do want you to chat and keep the chat alive, we also want you to stay attentive. We want you to stay attentive to ensure you don't miss anything. There's always, in these sessions, there's always a wealth of wisdom, and we wouldn't want you to miss any of the things that will be talked here. I promise you, as the people in the team, we have our notebooks open, whether on paper or on our machines. We will be taking notes and we'll be learning from our guest speaker. And then keep your energy levels high, like we've said. We love the energy, we love the chats, but keep them relevant, okay? Then, like I hinted, drop your queries on the Zoom's Q&A. Some of you may not see it because maybe you're on the phone. There is a feature at the bottom of the Zoom written more. If you click on those three dots with a more text below them, you will see a Q&A feature. Click on that and type your question for our guest speaker. Most of the questions we'll be dealing with today are about the industry. We'll not be answering questions about week two content or Savannah or any of those things because we've taught you where to go to get answers for those questions. And you can also watch a recording from a previous session. So for today, I beg you, only ask questions about the VA industry, okay? And then finally, but not the least, listen, learn, engage. And most importantly, please enjoy the session. Make sure you're having fun. We like to have fun as well. So dropping right into it, if your hustle today was a famous African song, what would it be and why? If your hustle today was a famous African song, what would it be and why? I feel like this icebreaker is a way for us to kind of find new music or new artists that we don't know about. So do you want to engage with us on Zoom and talk and tell us about your famous African song? Please raise your hand. I'll ask one of the panelists to help me out if there's anybody raising their hand concerning those who've raised their hand right now and they want to talk about it. But since Kennedy, I cannot see the chat, could you help me out with what people are talking about and they're saying?
Yeah, sure thing, Pauline. There's a number of hands up. But in the chats, I'm seeing Zuchu. Zuchu is an artist from Tanzania. I'm seeing, wait, somebody said Nameless. It's so long since I had anybody be a Nameless fan. Bridget Blue, Kesho, Nyashinsky, Mungu Pekee. There's a lot of Swahili songs. Seeing reggae artists too. I'm not seeing any
I'm
Nigerian artists. I'm surprised.
just to hear explanations to this. What are those hustles? What are the hustles?
It's
What is the
crazy.
nameless hustle? Is it that your hustle does not have a name?
Yeah, I'm saying Steve Simple Boy. Your tests say a lot about you guys. Um, somebody said yatapita. Yatapita is Swahili word for it shall pass. So I'm assuming you're going through the most, sending all the grace and warmth to you. Davido, um, Black Sheriff, Sacrifice, Wizkid. I'm not seeing the song names, I'm just seeing artists. Davido, Tyler, interesting. A lot of yatapita.
Let, let,
Bien,
let's allow
yeah.
Judith to tell us, and then we'll give Prince to tell us about their song and their hustle. Hey, Judith, your hand was raised. Okay. Prince, do you want to talk? Paulina, you just raised your hand. Or maybe people don't know they're raising their hands.
Hi,
Paulina, hi, thank you.
my song would be Come Make We Go by Tubaba and Sauti Sol.
All right. Make we go. I don't think I know that one. Forgive me.
It's okay.
Anybody else? Let's see. Rema. Rema,
Yes,
what's
good
your song?
day.
Yes, hi.
Okay, my song would be a reggae song by Bob Marley, Real Situation.
Sorry?
By Bob Marley. Bob Marley,
Mhm. Okay.
Real
All right.
Situation.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
I
I would
I
love
feel
you
like
guys to play.
okay, thank you for sharing. I feel like I want to say you're demonstrating your age, but these days could be even a very young person.
Exactly.
All right, thank you for sharing. Let's see who else. Gift, one last person. Hey, Gift.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, my own song will be Smile for Me by Simi.
Smile for Me by Isimi. All
Yes,
right.
Simi.
Oh, by Simi. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for engaging with that. I don't know what hustles you guys are working on, but your song choices are super interesting. So yeah, love that. Love it. We will continue from where we left off. So are you guys ready? Are you ready for the meat of the session? I'm gonna hand over right to Kennedy. Please remember.
Sorry, I'm in the class. That's why I'm distracted.
All right, could someone
Sorry.
help me mute and disable talking? Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, Pauline. Gift, thank you so much for going on mute. Amazing. I hope you guys are excited. I always feel like every time we hold these sessions where we bring in experts, we always feel like we've hit the ceiling, right? And then when we get a new guest, we just realize there was a ceiling to the ceiling. And that's the feeling today with Virginia. Virginia is an amazing person, and we get to get three aliases in one, right? She's a founder, she's an executive virtual assistant, and she's a mentor. And we're going to get all those different experiences in one person today. And so I urge you to, listen attentively, right? I know we love to engage in the chats, and that's okay. Try listen attentively to Virginia's story. Use the Q&A section later on to ask as many questions as possible. The objective of this session is to give you guys a sense or a feeling of what the ultimate goal of everything we are doing here feels like, right? So as I've said, Virginia is a founder. She's an executive virtual assistant. She's a freelance mentor. And apart from, running different boot camps that help people become more virtually versed, she's also the founder of Virtual Village. I'm sure she'll talk about that in a bit. And I think one of the most amazing things personally for me about Virginia is her great and successful transition from, traditional employment into building a thriving, high-impact global freelance career. And I just want us to take a bit of time later on and dive into all those different pieces. But before we get into that, I know you guys want to hear her voice. I know you guys want to hear her story. So I'm going to give her 2 minutes so that she can give a very fair chunk to introducing herself and letting us know what her profile looks like. Virginia, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me
Yes,
clearly?
we can hear you. Yeah. Thank you so much for
Okay.
joining
Thanks,
us.
Kennedy, Thank you for the amazing introduction. My name is Virginia Saitore. I prefer going by Saitore most of the times other than Virginia. I am the founder of Virtual Village, a remote community where we're bringing in remote workers, not just virtual assistant, but all remote workers, because one of the things I realized as a remote worker is that you need that human aspect and you need to relate with people. Working remotely is nice and all, but working from the house can get depressing. So you want to interact with other people who have more or less common interests as you. I'm also the founder of Virtually Vast. Virtually Vast is where basically we host events, and we have an event coming up on March 28th, by the way. So Kenyans, go check the link on my TikTok bio for the event. I am also a mentor, and I do boot camps. We call them Launch and Learn boot camps. So the boot camps mainly are focused on brand positioning and positioning yourself as a virtual assistant business other than just as a virtual assistant or an executive assistant. And I have hosted like 4 boot camps so far. That was June, July, September, and October last year. And I have a pool of mentees. And most of the times when I'm outsourcing clients, I start with my mentees because they're people I have interacted with longer or, by one-on-one. Let me just give you a short story about myself. So I graduated in 2022 from the Technical University of Kenya. So between 2022 and 2026, I have changed my career 4 times. So I did banking. I was a banker at Equity Bank. I happened to join the bank immediately after Form 4. They have a program program for top students. So you join the bank. It's called the Equity Leaders Program. And then after that, I did BCom marketing in TUK. So I also practiced marketing for some time. I got curious while we were doing marketing because we had a unit called web development, and that is how I found myself self-teaching as myself as a software engineer. So, and that was basically the beginning of the journey between me and LX, because now I started doing the tech courses. I started with software engineering. I did the AWS cloud computing and virtual assistants. Out of everything I have said, one thing that I always feel it's important to mention, I have made more money as a virtual assistant than I ever did in all the other 3 careers combined. So yeah, that is just a short introduction about myself.
I'm so glad, Saitore, that we focused on the important things first, highlighting where the real value is, the VA end of things. So something that we notice about most of our learner profiles is that the life cycle of a VA is almost replicable across every single person on this call right now. So most of them are normally in a different traditional careers. Some of them are nurses, some of them are medical students, some of them are engineers, some of them are in the finance field, some of them are just out of Form 4, right, or out of their secondary school education. And then they normally go through this process where they're like, okay, so what can I do with my career right now? And then they come across the VA program or the VA industry, and then they're like, okay, maybe I can try this out. And then they get into the discovery phase where they're trying to understand, okay, what's the VA industry about? And our course tries to help them in that phase. And then after that, they get to understand what the course is about, the program is about, and then they ultimately become like yourself, they become executive virtual assistants, right? But I want us to talk about the very, very initial stages, when somebody is still at the discovery phases. So if you could speak to us about what your experience was like, many of our learners, as I've said, are currently where you were at a few years back. What would you say was that first bold step or mindset shift that gave you the courage to feel like you had the confidence to leave a traditional career path for the world of freelancing?
That's a very good question, and I'm going to speak as a beginner and also as somebody who's transitioned from other careers. So let me start with transitioning from other careers, and I know some of us are there. And you probably did medicine, and now you're doing virtual assistant, and you want to combine the admin work and the medical knowledge that you have to become a medical virtual assistant, for instance. So transitioning is not easy, right? Because you're trying to verse yourself with something completely new. It could be more or less the same, and especially from the example I've given, if you're going the medical assistant way, it could be more or less the same. But that transitioning is very uncomfortable, and a lot of times you might find yourself experiencing imposter syndrome. So a mindset I would want you to have, right, is stop asking yourself, what if this fails? And start asking yourself, what if this works? Right? Because most of the time, we are our greatest enemies. They say that the mind is your greatest weapon. So ensure it's at the best. Ensure it's a positive thing that you're putting in your mind every other time. So I want you to stop asking yourself, what if this fails? And start asking yourself, what if this works? I think that is the mindset that I used as a beginner when transitioning from other careers, and also as a beginner while just starting off from any other career that I have done in my life. So stop asking yourself, what if it fails? Because it won't. If you're putting in the effort, I always talk about blood, sweat, and tears. Like you just have to put the effort. If it was that easy, all of us could be doing this in an amazing way right now and would be making really good money. But it's not that easy. You have to put in your blood, sweat, and tears. Don't compare yourself with people who are eating their fruits right now and you want to eat your seeds. So sow the seeds well before you start enjoying those fruits. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saitore. You've said blood, sweat, tears. I'm hoping you're going to be able to break down what those actually look like for a virtual assistant, the action items that translate to blood, sweat, and tears. So take note of that, guys, so that we come back to it. But before we get to that, you've also mentioned something that we've seen happen across the board, again, with most of our learners, right? You talked about imposter syndrome, especially initially, right? You're transitioning from a traditional career where, you show up in a very, very different way. And then you come up with a virtual assistant world where there's no middle ground. You're either good at it or you're not, right? Your client will know. If they tell you to do A and you don't do A, they'll know you're not good at doing A, right? And so you're like, okay, how do I show up in a way that is authentic, it's not faulty? How do I show up? Because you cannot fake your way around being a virtual assistant, right? You have to master your tools, you have to master the skills. How did you go about, if in any case you had the imposter syndrome, how did you go about overcoming that? How did you go about overcoming that mentally? Are there any practical steps you did to change your mindset around the imposter syndrome effect? Are there any practices you did that made you feel confident in what you're able to deliver?
I don't know. I kept losing you. I thought it was just me, and then I saw it wasn't just me. But I think I got the question. So how did I navigate through imposter syndrome? The easiest way, and this is something I have tested and tried, the easiest way for you to navigate imposter syndrome is to ensure you're well versed with the tools, the skills that you need as a virtual assistant. Again, blood, sweat, and tears. I'm going to say that a lot in this call. So how do you ensure like you're very vast as a virtual assistant? Check tools like Google Workspace, because those are tools you're going to be using. Check tools like project management tools. Those are tools you're going to be using. Check the admin one. And I have done the course you guys are doing, so I know exactly what is in that course. So be very intentional with what you're learning at LX right now, and especially there's that segment, I'm not sure which week it is, where it talks about Google Workspace, Excel, everything Google, Gmail. There's a whole spreadsheet, and you're going to see that if you haven't yet. Please take that very seriously, because for a client to be able to trust you, you have to be able to articulate the skills you have. There's one thing about you getting the skills, and then there's the other thing about you being able to sell the skills that you have, right? So you don't want to just get the skills and you're not able to articulate the skills you have. That is the easiest way to deal with imposter syndrome. The other thing that you can do to deal with imposter syndrome, I would say, don't procrastinate things. Most of the time, if you want to do your portfolio today and you decide, I'll finish it tomorrow never comes. It will never come. And most of the time, you're always postponing the good habits. You never postpone your bad habits. You're always postponing the good habits. So for you to be able to set yourself apart as a virtual assistant, because there's so many virtual assistants. I was in cohort 1, you guys are in cohort 14. There's so many virtual assistants out here, and you want to be able to sell yourself in a way that you look better than any other virtual assistant out there. You can do that if you're experiencing imposter syndrome. So do the work. That's the easiest way to remove imposter syndrome from your head, and then do not procrastinate things. There's a time I read a quote that imposter syndrome never knocks. It comes into your house, serves you coffee, and settles in. So do not allow that to happen. Imposter syndrome is something you can easily overcome, if at all. Because let me tell you guys, if you're perfect with that tool, you're very confident speaking about the tool. You'll be very confident articulating what that tool can be. And I know I've talked about setting yourself apart a lot as a virtual assistant. I also want you guys to check automations, because again, there's so many virtual assistants. You want to ensure you're one of the best virtual assistants. So check out automations. There are tools like Zapier, which is a good tool that you can start if you want to, do automations as a virtual assistant.
All right. So the only way to beat the imposter syndrome is to work through it, right? To blood, sweat, and tears your way through it, right? Go look at the tools. Find out how to make sure that you have pillars that make you feel confident. And I'm so glad you mentioned the tools like the Google Workspace, because our learners are getting into that next week. So I think it's very timely for you guys to get this information so that when you get into this next week, you understand that you're getting into one of the pillars of being successful in this space. And so I told you one misconception that we see a lot of our learners have, especially initially, is that being a virtual assistant is, as the name calls it, is an assistant role. But when we have these conversations, we realize that it's not an assistant role. When you get a client or a principal, as they call it, you don't become an assistant, you become a partner, right? It's supposed to be called a virtual partner role because you help these people think, you help these people solve problems. Could you tell us how you managed, at what point of your career you discover that you're not just coming in to assist, you are coming in to actually partner with this person, and they were getting to rely on you, and how you had to shift your ways of working, again, your mindset and your tools to be able to accommodate that?
Oh, that's a very good question. Most of the times, actually, people say that being a virtual assistant, you're a glorified secretary. I honestly don't like being called that. Guys, I'm a software engineer. Do I look like a glorified secretary to you all? So anyway, how did I come to a conclusion that you need to be a strategic partner and not a VA task taker, right? One of the things, change your mindset. And most of the time when I'm talking about mindset, I have some mantras that I'm going to use every now and then for myself. So you can get mantras yourself or you can use mine, right? They're not licensed. So start asking yourself, instead of asking your executive, what should I do? Once an executive offloads a task to you, once as an executive gives a task to you or delegates a task to you, do not ask the executive, what should I do? Or ask yourself, what should I do? I want you to be asking your executive, what are we trying to achieve with this? That statement is going to click in your executive's mind that, you know what, she's not just a task taker, she's here strategically positioning herself as my partner. Because one of the things you're going to realize as a virtual assistant is you're going to try as much as you can have a brain exactly as your executive brain. And when I'm executive, that could be your CEO, CFO, CTO, whoever it is you're going to be working with, you're going to try have their brain. You want to be able to respond to emails like them. You want to be able to solve issues like them. And at times, you want to be able to do those things better than them. Because again, you are positioning yourself as a strategic partner where you can be able to help them see things that they haven't seen or help them strategize in ways that they haven't before. For instance, if a task requires a lot of repetition, and you're talking to your executive, you can be able to suggest to them, something like, instead of us doing this every other time, how about I automate this using Zapier? That's I'm like, ensure you learn these tools, because to be the best of the best as a virtual assistant, you need to be well versed with all the tools that can be there. So you're having these conversations with your executive, you also look knowledgeable, you look like you understand exactly what you're talking about. Something I need to mention, make you be your friend. Whatever task your executive is going to give you, it's not hard. Please just go to YouTube, learn that skill in 1 hour, 2 hours, or learn that tool in 1 hour, 2 hours. I use this phrase a lot. If it's a new tool and I have never interacted with it before, or I have heard about it but never took the chance to deep dive into it, I will tell my executive something like, please allow me to refresh my knowledge on this tool and I'll get back to you at this particular time or on this day. So utilize YouTube. It's a very good place to be able to learn things. So for you to position yourself as that strategic partner, again, guys, you cannot miss the work that you have to do as a virtual assistant. The tools, the skills, you just have to do them. Because imagine you're partnering with somebody who's not knowledgeable of what they're doing or does not have better skills than you have. They're not going to feel like a partner, they're going to feel like an assistant, and I don't want you to be in that situation with your clients. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Saitori. We want to make sure we catch everything you say. I understand your audio is breaking a little bit, so I'm going to give you probably a few minutes to maybe look at that, and then we'll just come back. But my next question following that was going to be on it sounds like your client is hiring you to figure out their problems and solve them. And if they could identify their problems all the time and solve them, they'd not have a need for you. So you're basically coming in as a problem solver. So what I'm hearing is that apart from the tools we've talked about, you've talked about Zapier. If that's sounding foreign to any of our learners, don't worry. You'll come across this later on in the course. You have to understand the tools, you have to have the mindset, but there's also the element of the soft skills, right? And this week, we were talking about some of these things in some of our sessions, right? So you have to be a problem solver, but before being a problem solver, you have to be able to be a problem identifier. You have to be able to be somebody who can observe very closely and be able to tell when your client is going through a problem. You have to be able to anticipate their challenges too, right? And that's why I was saying that you're not just an assistant, you are a partner. And I feel like with this understanding, it paints a whole different picture to what being an executive assistant is about, right? When you're an executive assistant, you are coming in to probably save somebody's life, right? We've had scenarios where clients mention that they can leave their whole work processes to their virtual assistants or their executive assistants. So you need to be able to be ready for that, right? And I feel like when you have that in mind,
Nadine?
then you're going to be better prepared. Yes, we
Hello.
can hear you, Saitori.
No, it's me.
Oh, it's Pauline.
Just wanted to confirm Saitori is with us. I noticed she was glitching, so I thought she was not hearing your question.
No, I think she was shifting her
sorry.
networks.
Okay.
Yeah, she's back now. So I was making a comment, Saitori, about how you're going to need, as a learner or as an early stage virtual assistant, you're going to need to have problem solving skills, because your client sometimes don't even know that they need to solve some of these problems. You're going to go in there and identify them for them. So it's going to lead me to the next question, right? When you meet your client for the first time, how do you unearth what your client's biggest needs are? How do you unearth what your client's priorities are, so that you're like, okay, you know what? We've met today. For the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do for you A, B, C, D, E, and F, right? Because you have to start from somewhere. How do you understand where you start from and what success is going to look like?
Oh, okay. I hope you guys can hear me clearly now. Okay. So if you meet your client for the first time, I want to imagine this is after a discovery call. Guys, a discovery call is like the very first call you have with a direct client, and you're stipulating the tasks that you're going to be doing for them, and you're also trying to understand their business, right? So this is during this call, most of the time, it's where you want to anticipate their needs, and you want to tell them how working with you would look like. So my advice and what you can do for you to actually know how to anticipate those needs, do a research on that client, right? Go to their LinkedIn, go to their website. If it's a client who wants a social media manager, for instance, check out their social media pages, check out the problem that you're going to be trying to solve with them, so that when you're having this conversation with the client, you look confident that you know the problem, what the pains this client is experiencing, and you know exactly how to solve it. So, and you need to be very proactive while doing that, so that the client does trust you as fast as they can, because having a client that trusts you as a virtual assistant is very important, because it comes to a point where the client is sharing very private data with you. So you want to be able to ensure you never appear untrustworthy from the word go. So to be able to do that, do research, show them that you're confident with what you're talking about. Social media manager, for instance, you're confident. So you can tell them something like, have noticed your posts do not get traction. We're going to use this and this strategy to ensure that this particular campaign that you have right now is going to get this amount of traction. I'm going to be sending you analytics in this amount of time. We're going to have start of day and end of day reports so that you also know what I'm working on as a virtual assistant. Something else that I have realized, and especially international clients are worried about, is how will I know that you're working for me? Like, how will I know that my time is my time? You're not using my time to do other things. So you can talk about task tracking tools like Clockify, Hubstaff, Time Doctor. You can talk about such things. Again, try to build that trust as fast as you can as a virtual assistant. It's very vital.
Yeah, again, the tools keep showing up, right? A great virtual assistant knows their tools. A great virtual assistant knows how to plug in their tools to solve their customers' problems or their clients' problems, right? And if I was a learner right now, then my thought was going to be, okay, well, I need to start getting a hold of what these tools look like. I need to start understanding what the full scope of the virtual assistant tools are and how I can get conversant with them. And I'm glad that you mentioned earlier that most of these tools have demos and guides on YouTube, right? All you have to do is Google, okay, what tools do virtual assistants use? You're going to get a list. Plug the names into YouTube and be like, hey, show me how to do this. Or go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, I got this tool called this. How do I use it to make sure my client gets the best experience? And then that becomes you being the start of you being proactive, because you're going to get client situations where the client is saying, hey, I'm trying to achieve this. But when you have the discovery call that Saitore was talking about, you realize, oh, okay, this client is trying to achieve this. But what they're actually saying is that they're trying to achieve this. They just don't know how to communicate it. So how do I give them this when they communicated this, right? Because you've also talked about trust. When a client gets you on board, they trust you with sensitive information. And I know Saitore can attest to the fact that when you're a virtual assistant, it's very important to have repeat clients because it gives you predictable income. The only way to have repeat clients is for you to solve problems that they've not even thought about yet, right? But I feel like that's a different conversation altogether. And we might be getting ahead of ourselves because there's somebody who is probably asking, we are talking about clients. How do I even get my first client? Can we talk about how to get clients first? So let's take a step back and talk about how you, Saitore, got your first client after taking the vehicles. How was that process like for you?
Okay. That's a very interesting question. So the very first time I did a virtual assistant gig, I wasn't qualified for it. Was I not qualified for it really? Or maybe I was overqualified for it. So I applied to this agency in Kenya. That was back in 2023, and they accepted me as a productivity assistant. I had never done any virtual assistant course. I had never done any training, and I trained with them for. I mean, I worked with them for like 6 months, but I realized I didn't want to work under agencies forever, right? I wanted to carve my own path. I wanted to have direct clients. So that is what I'm going to focus on, because I've been doing that for 2 years now. I'm going to be celebrating my 2 year anniversary with my main client on April this year. So it's almost 2 years now. So how can you land your first client as a virtual assistant? So I would like not to be biased at all. You can go 3 ways to be able to land your client as a virtual assistant. The first way, you can go the employment route. This is where you apply for jobs on job posters, you apply for jobs on sites that show jobs for virtual assistant. I do that, or I did that a lot. And most of the times I was applying for US companies because one, they show the salary on the job poster, and they also show the scope of work, and they also show the amount of time that you're required to be working as a virtual assistant. Most local job posters don't show that, and especially the salary. So I love working with international clients. So as a virtual assistant, you can explore that route. The second route that you can explore is the agencies route, right? And this is where you can work with agencies like Atlas. I've had a client at Atlas, and Atlas is an amazing agency. You can work with agencies like Athena, you can work with agencies like Prialto, those are for Kenyans. For international guys, Atlas is international. You can work with agents. There's so many agencies. Just Google and try to apply to all of them if you want to go the agencies route. Agencies are nice when you're starting because some of them are going to train you and they act as a cover for you when things are not going well with your client, or when your client is not explaining things as they should. So agencies are going to cover you. So if you're struggling with confidence to reach out to these clients directly, I would advise you go the agencies route. You're going to garner the confidence to talk to these clients directly, and then you can pursue now what I'm going to talk about. And this is reaching out to the clients directly. So you can do this through cold pitching. And for me, I use LinkedIn a lot, right? So you go to LinkedIn, look for clients that you want to be working with. Now, I know you're going to be taught about niching down, or you've already been taught about niching down. And this is where you go for a specific niche that, one, goes with your skills, and two, you're able to learn, if at all it's something you need to learn, as fast as you can to be able to monetize it. I also want you guys to niche down on the clientele part. So don't just niche down on your services, but also niche down on the type of clients that you want. And what I mean by that is a medical virtual assistant. Please don't go look for entertainment CEOs. Look for CEOs in hospitals, right? Or look for doctors who are running private practices. Legal virtual assistant. Please don't go look for podcasters. Look for, legal companies or CEOs or whatever executives in legal companies. So I want you to niche down to a specific clientele. Personally, I work with CTOs. Those are chief technical officers, and that is because I have a software engineering background and a cloud background. It's just easier to work with them. But I niched further to working with only CTOs in NGOs in the medical sector. So you don't have to niche that further at this stage, but I want you to have a clientele that you can work with. Now, once you've understood your clientele, go to LinkedIn and try to connect with those people. So there's the difference between cold pitching and warm pitching. Warm pitching is where you just warm up to them. You can tell them something nice that they have posted, or you can go through their profile and, look for something that is unique to them and try to talk to them about that. Try to start a conversation. Cold pitching, is where I'm going directly to the point, right? So, and I have like 5 things you have to have in your cold pitch. One is, of course, an introduction. Call this client by their name. The other thing is your offer, right? This is not in order, by the way. Your offer. So what are you offering? This is where you attach your portfolio, and that takes me to the third point, which is proof. This is where you attach your portfolio. This is where you attach your CV. And this is more important. Actually, after introduction, tell them something specific about their business. Tell them something you've noticed, a pain point you can solve, and then close off your cold pitching with call to action. And by call to action, this is where you leave a link on how they can reach you. This is where you leave an email. This is where you leave a phone number. I never advocate for phone numbers, though. I try to be a bit more professional. Have a support through Calendly, or leave your email. So that is one way. That is LinkedIn. You can look for direct clients on Facebook. I personally have never used Facebook, but I know people who've used Facebook and they're doing amazingly well. So go to Facebook, join virtual assistant groups, not for learners, not for just virtual assistant, but for executive. Like there are groups on Facebook that we have executives on there looking for virtual assistant. And if you scroll through TikTok today, you're going to see so many people suggesting what groups you can join as a virtual assistant. You can be able to get your clients on there as well. The other thing that you can do is position yourself as a business. So this means creating business accounts, creating business social media profiles, and you reaching out to those clients. You see, the same way the agencies are reaching out to the clients and giving you the client, now you're positioning yourself as probably an agency or an outsourcing company, or just a business as a virtual assistant. There's one important part I have not mentioned though. You can decide to reach out to these clients through cold calling and also cold pitching, but via email, now not on LinkedIn, right? And the easiest way to do this, I hope you guys have been taking notes. I kind of feel like I have mentioned so many tools today. So anyway, the easiest way to do this is through research tools, and could be something like Apollo.ai. It could be something like let me just check. I always have them bookmarked. Can somebody tell me in the chat what research tools you guys use? Yeah, so it could be something like Apollo.ai. You can use Hunter.ai. So these tools, basically what they do, you can be able to sort companies on there. You can be able to sort your specific clientele. Remember when I said you have to niche down to a specific clientele? So you can sort out the companies you want. You can sort out your specific clientele. You can also sort out the specific locations you want to be working with these clients. And the other thing is, at times you go to LinkedIn, and LinkedIn does not allow you to send a very long message to whoever it is you're trying to pitch to. So this is where these tools come in. Install the extensions, go to LinkedIn, look for their emails. Like if you have a Hunter.io extension, for instance, if you go to LinkedIn on a specific profile, you're going to get their updated number and their updated email. So you can decide to cold call. Remember to use the 5 steps that I talked about, or you can decide to cold email and remember again to use the 5 steps that I've talked about.
Wow, that's a ton of resources. That's a gold mine right there. And if you're worried, this session is recorded, so you can review it later on and then just go through everything Saitori has talked about step by step. But I caught a few that I wanted to highlight. From my end, I was taking notes. And what I'm hearing overally is that for you to get your first client, it doesn't come by chance. You're not just going to wake up, then have a lazy, slow morning, and then it's 11 a.m. and you have your first client. You're going to need to get out there and do something to get your first client. There is a framework to getting not just your first client, but your second, third, and fourth client. And thank you so much for breaking some of this down, right? You talked about essentially people putting themselves out there, right? People being very intentional about showing proof of what they can do. So their CVs, their portfolios, and then where you share this at, right? You've talked about LinkedIn, you've talked about some people using Facebook. You go meet your client where they are at. And then once you go to the platform where your client is at, now you have to understand the art of reaching out. There's an art of reaching out, right? You can reach out in the cold way, you can reach out in the warm way, whether it's on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on email, right? Cold reach outs, as Saitori has described, you go direct to the point, you pitch yourself, you say your value proposition, have a call to action in the end. Warm reach out is where you feel like you have time to warm up into the relationship, right? Make this person feel like they're a human, not just somebody you want to have a sales relationship with, right? And you also talked about niches, right? Niches, for anybody wondering, is basically what you decide to do as a virtual assistant. So there's people that probably might feel like, oh, when I finish this course, I'm going to be a virtual assistant for everyone and anything. So if somebody wants help with their medical records research, I'm going to do that. And then if WizKid comes on and they're like, hey, I need a VA for my next production, I'm going to do that. And then if the next client comes in, then they're like, hey, I need help with my finances, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to say that's right or wrong, but from Saitori's experience, it looks incredibly useful for somebody to choose to narrow down to a specific niche. How do you define your niche? How do you find your niche? From Saitori's experience, again, she has a background in tech. So it was very easy for her to be a virtual assistant for CTOs, right? Chief Technical Officers. If you have a background in medicine, it makes a lot more sense for you to become a medical virtual assistant, right? If you have a background in finance, same thing. And then number two, the other thing that defines your niche is where you want to end up in, right? So maybe you have a background in finance, but you feel like you really, really want to finally end up in real estate. So you might start from finance, but you have to build your path towards the VA niche you want to end up in. All in all, I feel like the baseline is being very specific about the kind of people you want to solve problems for. Makes it easier for you to identify how to reach out to them and where to reach out to them, right? Another thing that I caught was how you get your first client and how you go about getting your first client. Again, Saitore mentioned agencies, then she also mentioned freelancing, and then she also talked about founding your own business. So those were 3 ways. One, apply to an agency. Agencies are just organizations that bring together pools of VAs and then they give them roles. It gives you a buffer because you're working under a company. So the company will handle your negotiation. It will handle some of the different trainings. It will help you figure things out. If you go the freelancer way, which Saitore also did, you get to figure these things out yourself. It might be a little bit more difficult, but I feel like the learning curve is very, very rewarding. And then number 3, build your own business, become your own boss, maybe employ other VAs. And we have learners who've done that. So thank you for sharing these different pieces and nuggets, Saitore. I feel like there's so many things we could talk about, but I don't want us to keep going without getting questions from our learners. So I'm going to give Saitore just one more question so that I give you guys a chance to put your questions in the Q&A. If you've been taking notes and you feel like you want her to clarify something else, just put that in the Q&A. I'll look at those in a minute. But before we do that, I wanted us to talk about...
Hi, Kennedy. May I suggest we go to the Q&A, tackle the learner questions because we are running out of time and we only have a limited time with Saitore.
Got it. Okay, cool. So we're going to go to the Q&A directly. Let me just look those up. Somebody's asking how they find their niche. I think we've covered that already. Just give me a moment, guys. All right, we have a portfolio question. So we've said one of the ways that you put yourself out there and show proof of your work is one, of course, through your CV. And then number 2, your portfolio. Could you speak about how you went about building your portfolio? Is the portfolio you started with the same one you use today, or did you learn a few things along the way that you wish you knew when you started and you'd like to share with the rest of us?
Oh, that's a very nice question. All I can say is a portfolio is a work in progress. I have like 5 different portfolios. I'm not asking you guys to have 5 different portfolios, but a portfolio is a work in progress. You're going to realize with time some of the things that you have on your portfolio are not exactly what your clients want to hear about you. So you're going to have to tweak that. I'm going to give you a good example with myself. So when I first created my virtual assistant portfolio, I added my hobbies on there, right? Because most people have added their hobbies on their portfolios just to connect to those clients or to show the client who you are as a person, or just adding a little bit about yourself. I had them on there. And my hobbies are crazy. Like an adrenaline junkie. Out there ziplining, biking, like speed bikes. Out there jet skiing. So I realized that most of my clients were worried about me. So they would have questions like, what if she goes for these adrenaline activities over the weekend and she doesn't show up to work on Monday? And I got that from just one client, and it made me realize how many discovery calls I was, missing just because of the hobbies I had on my portfolio. I'm not saying you shouldn't have your hobbies on there because, again, a portfolio should be a reflection of you. So it's something you're passionate about, you can add it on there. But please don't add hobbies that are going to raise eyebrows when it comes to your clients. People love cooking, that is okay, you can add that. So a portfolio is a work in progress. You're going to be making these changes, but this is what I want to say about a good portfolio. Ensure it's very visually appealing. When I'm reviewing my mentees' portfolios, because I do that manually, at times you just open a portfolio and you're like, this person didn't try at all. And then you open another portfolio and you're like, wow, this is amazing. What is this? What animations did this mentee use? What fonts did this mentee use? What colors that this mentee use? And it looks better than other mentees. And talking about colors, do not go for very shouting colors. Personally, I love purple, but my portfolio is not purple. So do not go for very shouting colors. Go for undertones, nude colors, something that looks really professional, and you don't want to bug people's eyes with shouting colors on your portfolio. So ensure that it's very visually appealing. Something else, ensure you have sample work on your portfolio. Now I know you're a beginner, but when I train my mentees, I tell them you are never a beginner. As long as you can be able to curate sample work and add that on your portfolio, you don't need to position yourself as a beginner. So where can you get sample work? You can get sample work from the LX course that you're doing right now, right? There are exercises on there, there are projects on there. You can add those to your portfolio. The other place you can get sample work, go to ChatGPT. Make it your friend. Tell ChatGPT, I am training to be a legal virtual assistant. What are some of the tasks a legal virtual assistant does on a daily basis? It's going to give you the tasks that a legal VA does on a daily basis. I want you to ask ChatGPT again, give me complex projects that I can do as a legal VA and add them to my portfolio. Now, once you do this project, I want you to take your time, ensure you have given it your all, because this is what you're going to show as your work, because not all of us have clients already, and now we can get sample work from our previous clients, and this is something that you can always add to your portfolio. And especially if you don't have testimonials, I want you to ensure you have sample of work. This shows your credibility, it shows where you're coming from, it shows the skills that you're able to remember. The client is going to see your portfolio before they meet you, so ensure you are able to showcase your skills in a very perfect way before they can actually reach out to you, or they can come to you and you're able not to articulate what you can do. Something else that shouldn't miss on your portfolio, please, 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 it's a call to action. I have not mentioned everything because I know this is in your course, but a call to action. Again, this can be a discovery call link. You can link your Calendly link on there. This can be your email address. It can be your LinkedIn. So always ensure you have a call to action. If I'm interested, how can I reach out to you? If, for instance, I was a potential client and I'm interested in working with you, how can I reach out to you? So always ensure before you send out your portfolio anywhere, before you upload it on LinkedIn, before you upload it on your social media profiles, just ensure it has a call to action, because you just don't want to show your work. You want people to be able to reach out to you, and you can be able to sell the skills that you have already shown on your portfolio.
That's incredible. I feel like that was our portfolio masterclass. We just need to snip that segment and send it to all learners and title it portfolio, because that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have a question from Dorcas. Dorcas is asking, what is something that you did early in your journey that most people overlook but made a huge difference in your long-term success?
I had no shame. Yes, I had no shame. I would say that most of the times again, shame and imposter syndrome, more or less the same thing. You cannot be shameful when you're broke. Please, guys, knock on those doors. If they don't open the doors, knock on the windows. Ensure you're hard. Put yourself out there. Do not have shame marketing your skills. Go to LinkedIn, post content about what you're doing. If you're employed and you're worried maybe your employer might see that you're trying to navigate into a different career, I always tell my mentees, talk about virtual assistant. It's something that is really interesting right now and you're curious about it, or something that you have been reading about and it's just something that fascinates you. You don't have to say you're looking for clients on your LinkedIn content. So have no shame. I don't know how best to put that out there, but guys, you can't you can shame the shameless, right? Have no shame while marketing your skills, because that is what is going to feed you, that is what is going to pay your bills. There's so many people, and I'm saying this with no fear of contradiction, there's so many people who have amazing skills, but they don't know how to position themselves. They don't want to put themselves out there. I was one of those people. I started my content creation journey last year March. I'm not even 1 year into content creation, right? I was one of those people who was like shameful. I'm like, people used to know me as a software engineer. Sasa now I'll start talking about virtual assistant. Does this look like a downgrade or something? All those intrusive thoughts on your mind, please discard them. Have no shame. Put yourself out there. Most of the clients want virtual assistants, but they don't know it until they come across content. Maybe that is when they'll be like, oh, I think I could use this skill, or I could use this person to be able to help me with this and this and this. If you have shame to cold pitch to a client, how will they ever know that, they would want an executive assistant? Some of them don't even know the pain points they're facing. Social media manager, you can tell one of your clients' pages is not doing well at all. So if you don't reach out to this client and tell them, oh, I realize your client is not getting traction, I would like to help, and this is how I can, have no shame. Reach out to this client. Most of them need help, but it has never hit them that, oh, I can actually get that help. Most of them just know at the back of their minds, I probably need help doing this, but they don't even know virtual assistants exist. So when you start reaching out to these clients, warming up to them, so either warm pitching or cold pitching, I think that is something I should have done earlier. I wouldn't even have to go the agency way. I have remembered something. Please allow me to say this. When I talked about how you can land your first client, when Kennedy was he talked about freelancing. Now that is completely different from getting your own clients, right? Direct clients. Freelancing is where you use tools like Upwork, freelance.com, Fiverr, and again, that has its own rules. So check it out. Personally, I've never used freelance tools. Oh, I have, but for online writing, not for virtual assistant. But it's a place you can also like make good money if you want to go the route of freelancing. Yeah.
Have no shame, guys. And while we are still at have no shame, I'm going to be giving a few people a chance to shamelessly unmute and ask their questions live. So Pauline, kindly make me co-host so that I can give a few people a chance to ask their questions live in the next round of questions. We only have like 20 more minutes to go, 15 actually. There's a question about a general assumption out there, Saitori, that international clients would rather hire would go for clients from either Southeast Asia, Europe, or the US. Is that true? One, and then number two,
Yes.
while speaking at that, how do you make sure that coming from Africa, coming from East Africa, you still crack it in a market that has the stereotype that, okay, you know what, we want to get VS from the Philippines or VS from this other place. How do you position yourself so that where you come from is not a factor at all in the quality of work you deliver?
Oh, that's a very nice question. And is it true that clients prefer GT guys, Philippines guys, Indians over Africans? That is very true, guys. I'm not here to filter out things or lie to you that is not true. That is very true. But remember, we have so many virtual assistants, and There are so many in Nigeria. These are the top countries that virtual assistants are doing well. So there's Nigeria, there's South Africa, there's Kenya, there's India, there's Philippines, there's GT, right? And you realize I have said 3 African countries, not all of them definitely. And then I've said 3 countries that have a different skin color than us. So most of the clients are going to prefer Indians, Philippines, and GT people other than Africans. And one of the things they're skeptical about, some of them might not be racist. They're just skeptical. How is your internet connection? They're skeptical. How is electricity at your place? They're skeptical. Will you be able to work during, like, do you have undisputable work ethic? During my time, you're going to give me my time, and then you can use your time to do other things that I'm not utilizing my time. They're skeptical about employers of record. How will I be able to sign a contract with you directly without it? And this is for those people who are not using agencies, right? So this is where I say during that discovery call, before we even get to the discovery call, ensure your portfolio outlines your skills so much. So your skills are the ones that are going to sell you before the client meets you. Let me tell you, no matter who you are, if I come here, I'm very qualified for this job. I can be able to articulate the skills that I have very well. And there's somebody else with a different skin color and they're not qualified at all. Do you think a client is going to take time to train one unless they're extremely racist, or they're going to take somebody who actually understands what they're doing, who actually shows up more of a strategic partner than a virtual assistant? So your skills are the ones that are going to sell you a lot when it comes to those indifferences that are there in the job market. And that's why I insisted your portfolio has to have work samples. Don't just, I think my portfolio was shared with you guys. You can check the work samples I have on there. I even have videos showing exactly what I'm doing. If it's automation, I have videos showing exactly how that automation is taking place. If it's calendar management, I have a screenshot of how a good calendar that I manage before looks like. So ensure that your work samples look very professional, easier to understand. And well, speaking to this, once they book a discovery call with you guys, I always say the easiest way you can reject me as Saitore is through my portfolio and my CV. Like, you've not met me, you've not interacted with me in person, but once you book that discovery call with me, chances are like 98% of the time we're going to work together. And that is because I take my time to be able to ensure how exactly my skills are going to help your business and how we can go to work together. I have mentioned something very important. Most of the clients are going to be skeptical to hiring Africans because of this. So this is where I want you guys to go look at softwares like Deal, DEEL. Check out how you can be able to sign contracts with them, and your client is able to comply to their taxes, and you're able to comply to your taxes locally from wherever it is you are. I have talked about internet and electricity. Some of them are going to ask you for internet speed, so send that. If a client asks you something like, are you going to be able to use my time for my time, mention the task tracking tools that I had mentioned earlier. There's Time Doctor, there's Clockify, there's Connect Team, there's Hubstaff. So just, this is my parting shot on that statement. Consume the right content. Whatever social media you are on, please consume virtual assistant content. Consume the tools that people are talking about, because if you're asked a question, you've never used a task tracking tool, for instance, right? But you know they exist, you know what they do. So you can easily tell your client, oh, for that, we can be able to use a task tracking tool. A client might be worried about sharing passwords with you. If you ever heard about LastPass, right? When you're just scrolling, it's at the back of your mind, and you would tell your client, oh, we can use a tool like LastPass, and you can securely share your passwords with me. So again, LastPass is a tool that you can use to securely share passwords, credit cards with the clients without having to interact with them, but you're still able to like pay for things and log into accounts. I think I've answered that question.
Yeah, you've done a very good job at putting that perspective together. And I feel like what's coming up again is tools, tools, tools. Guys, go out there, look for resources that show you tools. I know some of you might prefer to have this handed to you, where we come here and you're like, oh, hey, here's a list of 20 tools. And then beyond that, you're like, oh, hey, here's the links and how to use them. Here's the video guides, right? That would be amazing, right? But we won't always be able to do that, right? And when you have your client, you won't always be able to have somebody put those up for you. You have to be, again, proactive, right? So if I was you, again, after Saitore has mentioned that, apart from taking notes, it would click to me that, you know what, there's got to be so many tools out there that would make my work easier. How can I go find them, right? How can I use the research resources that have been mentioned here to go find them? So I'm going to give Prince a chance to ask the question live. And while you unmute Prince, I'm going to talk about another thing that stood out for me from what Saitore said, which is we have to make sure that we are doing everything to eliminate all doubt from the client's mind before we get engaged with them work-wise, right? And over communication is going to be your superpower. As a VA, you can never communicate enough. Share as much information as you can. I'm speaking so that I see Prince unmute. Prince, if you can just unmute, I'll stop talking as soon as you do. Make sure you over communicate so that you are at the best place possible. Yes, Prince, go for it. All right. Prince, I was not able to catch your question. I'm going to let Mumbi Wanjiru unmute.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Kennedy. Hi, Saitore. Saitore, I have to say it's so difficult to find questions for you because you have outpoured, you have overpoured of yourself. You're such a great mentor, I must say, and I know that I speak for most of us who are in this class, who are in this meeting right now. But I just wanted to ask you, what was your biggest mistake as a beginner, whether as a fresh beginner or at the point where you decided to switch careers? What was your biggest mistake that you know now that you know better, you can advise us to learn from that?
I think there's no way to answer that question without being biased. So the biggest mistake, I think I can talk of two. One is doubting myself. When I was starting, the reason why I went the agency side, as you can already tell, I'm very articulate and eloquent, and I'm able to like sell the skills that I have to clients, right? But I wasn't that confident back then, and I doubted myself. And this is where imposter syndrome was really kicking in for me. And I had to look for, the agency direction before reaching out to the clients directly. Now, remember, the agency is going to get their cut. When you're reaching to these clients directly, you can be able to negotiate your salary exactly how you want. I talk about money a lot because I don't understand why you would want to be learning these skills and not want to monetize them. The other mistake I think I made starting out as a virtual assistant was my portfolio. Portfolio is very important, guys, right? And when I was starting to reach out to the clients, I was not using the portfolio at all. I thought having a CV, and I had a Google Drive document where I just had a sample of work. You could easily get bored looking at them because they were not very visually appealing. And so I just didn't want to take the chance to create a portfolio. I was lazy at that, right? So me reaching out to so many clients that I reached out to them during that time without a portfolio, I kind of feel like that is why most of them never got back to me. That is why most of them never wanted to work with me. So if it's a mistake I want you guys to avoid, please, please, please do not send your cold page without proof of a portfolio. And that portfolio should always, always, always have sample work. Do not send out any email, or even when you cold calling, always mention that after this call, can I please share my portfolio with you where I have work I have done from previous. You can either say previous employers or work I have done previously. Something else that you can add to your portfolio that is going to like set you apart. I know not all of us have these, is testimonials from clients that you have already worked with before. So two mistakes, self-doubting myself, because I really did that a lot. I was transitioning to another career. And for some reason, while I was starting, virtual assistant, I always felt like it was a downgrade until I made way money than I ever made as a software engineer. Not to bash any software engineer. I know software engineering pays like really good money. But when I look at myself and how much I was earning back then and how much I'm earning right now, I would say virtual assistants any day, anytime. And plus, I don't have to code for 9 hours. So don't doubt yourself. One, ensure your portfolio meets the standards. And you guys are going to learn this. It's in your course. I did the same exact course. It's only that while I was starting, at some point, laziness. Just being very honest, I was just lazy to create that portfolio. So ensure you have it and it meets the standards and it's very visually appealing. It shows the skills. Like somebody can just see your portfolio and be like, I want to work with this person. Let me talk about something I exclusively just talk about in my boot camps. You'll going to niche down, right? And there's something I talk about in my boot camps that is called the niche ecosystem. This is where you can have 2 or more niches in your portfolio in a way that your portfolio is a one-stop shop. What do I mean by this? Let's take a good example of a legal virtual assistant, right? So you're reaching out to people with legal companies, people who are doing legal practice. What do those people need from a virtual assistant? One, they're going to need the general admin work. That is a must. That's why they're looking for an assistant. Two, they're going to need a legal virtual assistant. This is somebody who understands the US law, somebody who has a background in law, somebody who is just perfect fit for a legal virtual assistant. The other thing they're going to need is a research virtual assistant, somebody who can do research on their clients, somebody who can be able to do just the basic research that you're supposed to do as a legal virtual assistant. So you can have those 3 niches on your portfolio in a way that if I own a legal practice and I come through your portfolio, I can find everything I need. You can also add something like social media management if they want to be out there, but ensure you do not have more than 3 niches on your portfolio and don't have weird niches that do not correlate. Like you're a medical virtual assistant, you're a legal virtual assistant, and you're a podcast management virtual assistant. No. But if you're a podcast management virtual assistant, you can have niches like social media because a podcaster would need that. You can have research because they would need that. And then you can have now a podcast or video editing or graphic. Just ensure the niches correlate with each other for it to form that very nice curated ecosystem. Okay.
That's very satisfactory. Thank you, Saitore. Pauline, how many more questions can we take?
Just one more.
All right, Mubarak, you're unmuted.
Hello, Ma. I wanted to ask, concerning the code messages. I wanted to confirm when sending code messages via email mostly because you don't know them, you want to keep it professional. How do you position your portfolio? Do you just be like, "Good morning, sir," or "Ma"? etc., etc. I've been a virtual assistant for a while. Then maybe when you reach the portfolio bit, you now be like, okay, this is my portfolio attached. Maybe you've attached it already, or would you refer them to go back to your LinkedIn page to go and check it out?
That's a very good question. I have talked about 5 things that that cold page should have, right? And one of the things is proof of work. And how can somebody see your proof of work? It can be through your portfolio. So there's a way you can be able to link your portfolio on your email. Like you can say something like, here are some of the, or here are some of, hey, you can say something like, here are some of the sample works I have done, or this is how my work looks like before, or here's a link to my portfolio. You can just be simple, like, here's a link to my portfolio when you're closing out your cold pitch email. Now, that word portfolio, just highlight it, look for a link button, and then go get the link of your portfolio and insert that link there. The other way that you can always ensure you have your portfolio shared with everybody you're cold emailing to, add it to your signature. Own it, right? So, like, if you see my personal email, the one that I use to reach out to clients, on my signature, I have my name, Virginia Saitore, and then I have a tag, executive virtual assistant, and then down there I have my LinkedIn profile, again linked the same way I have talked about. I have my portfolio, and I think I have another link. Oh yeah, just LinkedIn, portfolio, and I think my TikTok link, because I create content about virtual assistant, and that content somehow still builds my credibility, because you want people to trust you, and if there's a background of something that you have been doing for a while, they want to see that so that they can know you're not a scammer. Because again, the people are scamming clients in the name of virtual assistants, so you don't want to appear like those people. I think I've answered your question. So link it to your email as a CTA, a call to action, because your portfolio will already have your discovery call link, or you can have it on your signature as, linked portfolio. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank you very much.
Saitore.
Yes, that answered my question nicely. Thank you very much.
All right. I'm glad you got help, Ibrahim. So we're running out of time, right? We only have 5 minutes to go, and Saitore has to drop in 5 minutes, right? So what I'm going to urge you guys to do, because we are not able to cover every single question in these sessions, right? If you get a chance, follow Saitore on TikTok, right, or in any of her other socials, right? I'm sure if you look at her LinkedIn, we shared the link in the communications that came through. There's going to be more information there. Interact with her content, and I'm sure you're going to get a hold of her somewhere else away from this call, because we can never cover everything here. But I just want to give the last 30 seconds to Saitore to give her final remarks, any wisdom or nuggets you want to leave us with, and then after that, we can let Pauline usher us out.
Thanks, Kennedy. You have been an amazing host. I must commend you for that. And to all the LX virtual assistant learners, the difference between me and you guys right now is consistency. The only reason why I'm on this other side and you're yet to get to this other side, it's going to be consistency. So please be consistent in learning the skills, be consistent in consuming the right content. I insist on that a lot, because we doom scroll a lot as humans. We've found ways to make ourselves happy, and one of them is doom scrolling. So ensure you're consuming the right content so that these things can just be lying on your subconscious. When you're speaking to these clients, you can be able to remember something. Something else I want to tell the Kenyans who are here, we have an event on March 28th. It's going to be at the LX, the piano. The link is on my TikTok bio if you want to join us for that event. It's for remote workers. Last year, we had a specific one for just virtual assistant, and it was really amazing. We had one person get hired during the event. So if you would like to come to the event and meet me in person, go to my TikTok bio and check the link on there. So my TikTok is virtually Saitore. like the word virtually, and then my name. And then on Instagram, the same. On Facebook and LinkedIn, my name's Virginia Saitore. So yeah, thanks guys. You're an amazing audience. I have been seeing your questions, but I didn't want to distract myself and try answering them. So you can reach out to me. I'm going to answer all the questions that you guys might have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Saitore. This has been amazing. I hope we get a hold of you again soon. But thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. I have nothing else to add. If I add to that, I'll be taking away from what Saitore has shared. So please, let's get some more snaps, some more reactions for Saitore, some more claps. Saitore, you can see the appreciation that is coming your way on the screen. So much appreciation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. You have so much to share, and to only think you only have a short period of time to learn what you've learned. I'm inspired, and I'm gonna take consistency as my cup of tea every morning moving forward. So thank you so much for your time. And now we are gonna move forward and just give a few updates for our learners, and then we will close. All right, so back to the learning. So a few updates. We are in week 2. We are almost, by Saitore, we are almost concluding with week 2. The weekly deliverables that you're supposed to have done is the recap quiz and the milestone. You're supposed to have submitted these by Monday, 2nd, 11:59 p.m. GMT. Convert that to your time, but the time is 11:59 GMT. You submit your milestone. The milestone has 2 links that you're supposed to submit. Do not forget that. And then after you're done with your milestone, some of you are forgetting to submit and do your quiz, your recap quiz as well. Please go back and do the quiz. Some of you are asking me, why is it showing I'm 64%? You probably have not done the quiz yet. Go back and do the quiz, okay? Then we will be having a session to guide you or support you live on Monday, 2nd. For those of you who will be struggling, please join us. Only those who need the support, by the way, will join. So no, if you're done with everything, no need to join that session. Then we really do insist in succeeding together. So find a partner. I saw some of you sharing your contacts so that you can find a buddy. Those of you who are telling me, I cannot find a contact, guys, you are told by Saitore to be shameless, okay? Be shameless, reach out to somebody on WhatsApp, on eHub. You cannot tell me you cannot find a partner, and you're 4,000 of you, guys. There is like 5,000. Actually, it's over 5,000 of our learners. You cannot convince me you're not finding a partner. I'm not buying that. So, and we also have given you a tool, a peer finder tool. Utilize that. Then, sorry here, I did not see this is end of program. It's supposed to be onboarding. We have an onboarding survey. Some of you have already filled this for us. Go right ahead. It's in your emails and also on eHub. I mean on Savannah. Go ahead and tell us your experience during the onboarding and what things that we can improve. If you find there are things that you need to really tell us more, there is a section for comments. Feel free to write your comments in that section. And then if you have any technical issues or you're finding there are a few things you're not understanding about Savannah or eHub, we've tried to explain as best as we can. But if you're still struggling, go to Leah. Leah is our 24-hour, 24/7 chatbot that has all the answers you're looking for regarding to the VA program and regarding to ALX. You will find answers there. Then if you have a technical issues on Savannah or eHub or any of our tools, please submit a ticket. The ALX support team is right there on deck to support you and make sure that you're not stuck anywhere. Then lastly, this session was fire. Don't tell me it was not fire. I will not believe you. I'll think you're a hater, but just in case you have a few thoughts, there is a link that will be shared in the comments section right about now. But if you're joining us on your laptop and you have your phone, scan the QR code and let us know how the session was. If the session was fire, it's a 10, okay? I did see you guys sharing heart emojis with Saitore, so but in case, of course, we welcome thoughts on how we can improve the session. If there are things that you felt we needed to improve on, we welcome those as well, because we want to make sure we are giving our clients the best value for their time. So go right ahead, take a minute, share your feedback. The link has been shared or is being sharing, or you can scan the QR code right now. I'll play the music for 1 minute. Type done when you're done, and then we'll continue to closing. All right, I believe you've shared. If you're not done, still continue sharing your feedback and letting us know how the session was. We appreciate your feedback always. And now we say thank you. Thank you for spending the last 1.5 hours of your time with us. We do not take that for granted. We are so happy that you guys are so eager to learn and grow. We are looking forward to seeing the growth and the impact that comes out of this session that we keep spending with you. So go on about your business. Bye, kwaheri. Thank you.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true.